Park Board meeting to order. In your packets were the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Are there any changes or corrections that you saw, Pam or Kevin?
Not that I can see.
Move to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Welcome, Michael, to the Park Board, and Dan.
Thank you.
Being on
Thank
our
you.
Park Board going forward.
Thank you.
I think we've got some real interesting things coming at us for parks in the next year that'll really add to our community and what we're doing, and there's been a lot of, as you know, that has gone into it to this point. So we've got a meeting coming right after this at 6 o'clock, so tonight's going to be probably a faster clip through some of the things than normal, but no question is, you know, too stupid to ask, so please
Okay.
feel free to
Okay.
go ahead and we'll go from there.
Sounds good, thanks.
The sailing club is up first on the agenda. Guys, you want to introduce yourselves and we'll go from there.
Well, good evening. I'm Justin Farner, president of the St. Croix Sailing School. We have our chair, Scott Nemes, with us today. We have a founding member of the sailing school, Tom Vandervoort, a friend of the school, great friend, John Barber of Shelter Architects, and Colin Mueller is our sailing director. Our mission, one of our major missions that we have in our core mission statements is to allow access to underprivileged youth, and other programs that we have is all aimed to get kids scholarships to get on the water and make sure the community has access to that water. I know that we're short on time tonight, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. And Colin is here with a little presentation for you and to let you know about our school and our program. It's about 5 minutes long.
All right. Thanks again for having us. My name is Colin Mueller. I'm the program director down at the St. Croix Sailing School. Lifelong Hudson resident. Growing up, one of the things that I always wanted to do was get out on the water and go sailing, but there was never that opportunity for me, so that's why I'm involved with this program, because I have a passion for providing the community with river access, so the kid like me that's longing out at the mooring field has that opportunity to get out on a boat. Really quick about us, we were founded in 2008 to promote junior sailing. We've expanded to offer for all members of the community, youth and adults. Past 11 years, we've had 2,000 people go through our program. We are a 501c3 nonprofit with 10 seasonal employees, 8 member volunteer board, and 1 year-round employee. Our goal is to move to a permanent location, to have the ability to operate a year-round, safe and comfortable learning center, to have a place to accommodate more students so that the sailing school can grow to serve more members of the community. We are committed to working with the city to help realize the waterfront development plan that was commissioned through SEH. One of Hudson's biggest draws is the river and the boating. Having a community boating center located on the waterfront will allow all members of the community and tourists to enjoy Hudson's unique offerings. The well house section of the Buckeye Garage would allow the sailing school to grow and offer safe, accessible, and affordable programming and learning opportunities year-round. This year-round learning center would enable the sailing school to expand offerings to include powerboat safety courses, an American Sailing Association classroom, an event space for hosting our races, local and regional. These races bring in families to Hudson businesses from around the upper Midwest and metro area. Having this permanent location would allow the sailing school to explore opportunities to rent canoes, kayaks, paddleboards, providing easy access to the community to enjoy the waterfront. The building would give the sailing school the ability to partner with local public schools in the spring and the fall to offer STEM-related STEM classroom focusing on weather sciences, physics, and river ecology. At the sailing school, we use the sailboat as a tool to build self-reliance, critical thinking, team building, environmental stewardship. And in order to attract more people to the park and expand our programming, we need a better permanent space. This is a very quick video from the City Council meeting on February 26th, highlighting SEH's plan for the sailing school. It's about 3 minutes. Would you guys like to view it? Do you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay.
No offense
Totally
for
fine.
saying that, I just,
Totally fine.
yep.
I want to be good to your time needs. Our needs, we need a permanent location, mainly for a storm shelter, so we can become one of the 30 U.S. sailing accredited sailing centers, putting Hudson on the map as a sailing and boating destination. We need higher elevation, so this spring we were underwater for 2 months. We really made it difficult for us to run our high school sailing program. We also had to cancel events that would have brought around 150 families to the Hudson area. And we need a boat storage, allow room for more equipment so that we can offer more programming, like kayaks and canoes, powerboat safety, and a community space for all to use. We have partnered with Shelter Architecture to come up with some initial concepts for the community waterfront center would look like. This rendering uses the entire building. This last one, you can kind of see that in there. This shows just that brick well house portion of the garage. You can see we would have a small changing room, some classrooms, and again, just a year-round space for the whole community to use. So we're here asking the park board to explore opportunities to see if the sailing school could rent all or part, lease all or part of the Buckeye Garage. We are very thankful for our location right now has really helped us expand our programming even just in the south side of the lakefront park. So we're just looking to kind of move forward and continue working with the city.
For Mike and Dan, I'd like to give you just a little, and I guess for our viewers too, who haven't seen this before, I'd like to give a little background in that when the sailing school lost the ability to be in their old location, they'd approach the city and parks kind of open-armed, except them moving onto Picnic Point in the location where they set up now over more towards the marina on that side. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've had a very good relationship with the sailing school as being a very additive thing to the parks and to our whole community. And we're part of the decision that went into when we got the grant from the hospital foundation to put the all-access playground equipment in the park, and we moved up at White Camp, and we moved everything down to Picnic Point, that it's all focused around kids and a safe place for an environment for that stuff. The issue about how the bathhouse is going to be used is going to be a complex one, and I'll let Mike address that. But in terms of a background, I think the park board has been very supportive of what you guys have tried to do and accomplish, and thankful for what you offer our community.
Did you want to add something before I speak? No? Okay. So just kind of give you a quick update over the last month. St. Croix Sailing School reached out to myself with this proposal, and we met on site to kind of look at the building itself and their needs and some of the hurdles that we're going to have to clear before we move ahead with this process. You know, the first thing that we're looking at is, you know, this, Colin had referenced this in his presentation, but this is the, you know, the lakefront master plan that SEH developed for the city a couple of years ago. And in it, you know, it gives a couple of different uses for that building, one of them being housing the St. Croix Sailing School. So, you know, what they're proposing is in this plan along with some other different things. So as a park board, as a council, we're going to want to figure out what's the long-term use of that building. Okay, that's kind of hurdle number one. Hurdle number two is the condition of the building in the current state. So right now the building is, it's in fair shape, I would say. It needs work to be done to it in order to bring it back up to standards that we would want to have someone in there permanently. And I haven't reached out to our attorney yet as far as what that would mean. And, you know, we don't want to put somebody in there in a building that isn't, you know, 100% structurally sound and have something, a failure to come down on the equipment, so on and so forth, and us be liable for it. So we're going to want to have to cross that hurdle before we, you know, do a long-term lease with St. Croix Sailing Group or another group. That leads me to the DNR. So because the building is in the floodplain, you know, there are restrictions on the development of that building. First and foremost, we need to get an assessment done on the building itself. Because being in the floodplain, we can only improve that building, I believe it's 50% of the assessed value. Anything above and beyond that, because it's in the floodplain, they won't let us do it. So we run into the situation, I know Mike Johnson has run into the situation with the River City Center, being in the floodplain, having to redo the floodplain, so on and so forth. So there are some hurdles that we're going to have to clear with the DNR. I know I was speaking with Dave Schofield, who does kind of our floodway study through SEH. I reached out to him for the Buckeye bathroom upgrades that we're doing, just kind of the maintenance of it. Even doing that, he was like, I don't know if that's, you know, is that general maintenance? Is that improvements? So on and so forth. So that's kind of the big, I think that's the biggest one we got to clear first is the DNR and what we're allowed to do down there. And then when we go from there, then we can start, you know, updating the building, getting it back up to standard, up to code. And then we look at doing a long-term, you know, lease or partnership with a group to go in there. So that's kind of, you know, the background on what I have found since I met with you guys. So it's not going to be anything, you know, this quick. It's going to take some time to figure these things out, but at least, you know, them coming to us, to the park board, to get the ball rolling and start these conversations and start working on this, you know, lakefront vision study is what we need. So thank you for coming out and presenting to us this afternoon. With that, I'll take any questions if you have any questions for St. Croix Sailing School or.
Mike, I have a question for you. One of the, I know concerns Tom had previously when he was in your position was that space for public works.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that, are you talking about like sharing the building or are you talking about? how does that
So,
work?
you know, because, like Colin said, because the building was down for a substantial amount of time, you know, we moved all of our equipment out of there at the beginning of, I don't remember now, was it mid-March, late March,
Okay.
before the waters came up? And we've been out of there since. So in the meantime, we have those two buildings up at Ward Avenue by the new fire station.
Yep.
So we kind of moved our operations up there on a kind of semi-permanent basis.
Okay.
So we're actually completely out of that building right now.
Oh.
We really don't have an intention of going back in there anytime soon.
Okay.
Just because, you know, it's starting to be our busy time of year and we had equipment stacked upon equipment, and we couldn't get to anything and it was taking more time to shuffle things around to get something out. So, you know, I spoke with Josh Olson from the EMS and Scott St. Martin from the fire and said, hey, we have a need here. Can we utilize a couple of garage stalls up there to put our parks department for, you know, at least for a couple months so we can get rolling, that type of thing. So, you know, long term, you know, we're looking at getting out of that building anyways, just
Okay.
because it doesn't fit the needs of the Public Works Department and the Parks Department.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions of us?
No, we don't have any questions, but we want to thank you for the opportunity to be in the park to begin with. And it has expanded our program and allowed us to become ASA, which is an American Sailing Association program, to bring in more adult lessons, which helps us fund the scholarships for the underprivileged youth. That we never turn a child away. We don't make them verify. If somebody comes to us and asks for access, we give them access. We make sure we do that. That's one of our core founding reasons. That lease that you guys offered to us and have kept with us has allowed us to expand that program. And any opportunity that we have to move forward and make that program better, and maybe even expand to mobility limited people, wounded warriors, other types of programs that we can get, other community action items that we can get people into our building, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
And as feedback back to you guys, I have never gotten a phone call complaint. I don't know if city staff ever have, from all the things that get called about and complaints about, never had one about the sailing school in any capacity.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for what you're doing for our community.
Any other questions for us?
Thank you.
So I think
What-
next steps, let's talk about next steps. Okay, so next steps, I will contact Dave Schofield and he can give us kind of a recommendation as far as what the DNR, what the DNR is gonna require of us for that building, if it's even feasible to basically redo it, you know, putting up new walls, that type of thing. Because whenever they look at putting up new walls, they look at it as improved infrastructure, and that's not allowed in the floodplain. So that's gonna be, I think we need to figure that out before we even go any further.
So I had a asbestos team do some testing. There's some asbestos in the building as far as the caulk, a little bit in the vermiculite up in the attic. There's some tuck pointing to be done. So, and there's the windows and doors to replace. I believe that majority of the work that needs to be completed on the building is maintenance required or related.
Yeah.
Upgrading and improving, wouldn't be much more than painting and cleaning surfaces and removal of any toxic chemicals that would need to be removed. Other than that, for our needs, we would take chairs and tables in there, store our boats in there, and go from that point.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the improvement part of the process would be huge. And also, currently we have, of course it's depreciated now, but we have raised money in the past. We have about $170,000 of assets that we've raised money for and been paid for by other community members. We do have resources to raise funds to help with improvements and to help make that building more hospitable for children and for the youth.
Okay. So I think, we'll just have to stay in touch over the course of the next month and kind of just relay back and forth the progress that I've been making with the DNR, with our attorney, so on and so forth, what that looks like in the future, and we'll just kind of keep picking away at it, if that is okay with the board.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So I had a question, though. Were we approached by someone else about this building also? Or was,
St. Croix Rowing Club did a presentation several years back.
Yeah. At one time, they had kind of put their eye on it, and now they're more content on the St. Croix Street end of the park, and especially with the long-range planning to go down on that end, and for the new people, the long-range plan that Mike was talking about, we want to build a long-range, a pavilion, similar to what we have in each of our other parks or up in Prospect, on that end of the park down there, and at the same time have a maintenance and storage facility within it, and then a space that the rowing people could be in lieu of the old garages and that we have down there.
We also reached out to the rowing community to see if we could partner and work together, and they told us that their interest was not in that building because they liked the water on the north side of the toll bridge. It was calmer, shallower, and less boat traffic for their intended purposes.
thank you.
We do have the willingness to reach out and utilize and work with other clubs and expand our programming and partner with the city of Hudson for what the city may want to see us do and operate there as well.
And again, our overall goal is to really just become a community waterfront center. I know right now our focus is on sailing, but we would really think there's a space to have a building for the community to come down and get in the water, whether that be on a sailboat, a kayak, a canoe, learning about boating safety, or just the river ecosystem.
Is that a building
Thank you.
that can be used in the winter? Is it heated? Is that a
It- yeah.
seasonal type?
No, it's,
building?
Could be.
it's heated during the wintertime. I mean, our Parks Department has equipment in there through the winter to help with snow removal, so it is heated. The outdoor restrooms that are attached aren't. We winterize those, but inside the building itself it is.
So would you be open to having other groups that need a space to use, whether it's sailing related or not? Would that be something that
Yeah.
you would consider letting other organizations
Exactly.
use
That's
that
one of
space
our goals would be to have, a classroom space that down on the waterfront that other organizations could come use. Like I was saying, have a STEM classroom for the public schools to come down and get hands-on learning in the river and have a nice heated classroom in the spring and the fall. So it'd be a community space in partnership with the city that, anybody could use as a classroom area or learning center.
The rowing club currently uses space in the library, and we've talked to them about coming down and using the space with us as well.
So if it wasn't, not a water-related organization, if there was another organization that was in need of a space, that might be an
Exactly, yep.
opportunity for them too?
Just making it like a community classroom right down on the water.
Depending on what they would be and what the fit would be, I'm sure what I hear you saying is you're
We're very
open to.
open to working with anybody.
And what Mike is saying is the city is, and I don't mean to be rude, but we do have to get through our agenda before we
Yep,
get
we
booted
can be
out of here
done.
for the next meeting. But thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Next item up on our agenda is the concession agreement that we have with, or going to enter into with the boosters for out at Grandview Park.
Do we need
What?
to
Oh, Tim's
vote
here.
on this or take action on this?
No.
Tim had Winston with that.
Yeah. Wait, trying to make. Hey, Tim.
Good evening, everybody. Tim Heckman, softball commissioner, member of Hudson Boosters and Boosters Board as well. I bring you greetings and salutations from former Parks Board member Mike O'Keefe as well.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Not holding his breath for that statue to be built. I'll defer to you on another agenda item someday. So, concession agreement again, and we worked informally due to some liquor license or beer license issues at Grandview last year. Adult softball continues to minimize their operations. I've talked to them directly due to insurance, workers' comp, and other reasons. They have, as you're well aware, ceded the beer license, will not be working there at all. They've approached boosters and asked us, they're only operating adult softball on Sunday nights, but having somebody from our organization, you know, sell Gatorade and waters, because even for them to do that for 3 hours, they had to pay a couple $100 a month in workers' comp. We've been through workers' comp issues that I won't bore you to death with, because again, you've got an agenda here last year, so we're well set up in that regard. So that's where adult softball is, Sunday night only, 2 to 3 fields. I can't recall. Now with our girls having expanded there for the last 3 to 4 years, last year we kind of ran this informally. I think this is a more formal adoption of kind of how we had worked things last year. So I think this agreement is fairly substantial, if not exactly the same as last year. We'd still be paying 6% of gross profits to the city, monthly reconciliation. Again, we'd carry workers' comp, name the city as an additional insured under boosters policies we already have in place. I would operate pretty much as the point person. There are a couple of baseball tournaments up there. Otherwise, it's largely softball. And we've got events, the season's underway already, a few tournaments in June, July, August, all the way through the end of September when the fall ball season ends. So once the varsity girls are done using Field 5, we generally will be utilizing all 5 fields for at least 4 nights a week, if not 5 or 6. Due to some issues at North Hudson Elementary, as you're well aware, a couple of trees falling for reasons unknown. We may be shifting some of our in-house program girls up there as well, so we're trying to juggle schedules when we can get a hold of Dave O'Brien from the Middle East to still assist us in that regard, as he does, as we're well aware. So that's pretty much it. If anybody had specific questions, concerns, I'm here to answer.
No, we'll need a motion to approve the agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Are there any further questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
And just a point of parliamentary procedure, just in terms of fixing signatures or finalizing the document or the agreement, Deb, just coordinate through you then to...
Yep, and then it'll
Yep.
just go to city council. for
Sounds good,
consent.
yeah. Just keep me in the loop there and I'll get whatever signatures you need. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Look forward to working with the city once again. And again, if there are any questions, concerns, feel free to contact Boosters or me specifically. You know how to get in touch with me. But I appreciate the time here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks. Okay, next item we had up was the agreement for St. Croix Valley Popcorn for the operation of the concessions in the park this summer.
Hi, I'm Clay Duncan, and I operate St. Croix Valley Popcorn. I'm located in the town of Hudson, been operating since 2007 out there, and I have worked with a couple of the organizations that have run the concession stand at the lakefront previously, and this year I thought it might be a good idea for me to throw my hat in the ring. I'd like to operate just a basic popcorn shop there, offer some basic popcorn flavors. I'm not looking to expand into any kind of elaborate food items, probably some beverages to go along with those. And that's about it. I don't think I want to overdo that at all.
Up to you.
I'm an existing company. I already have all my insurance in place. I heard workers' comp mentioned. I've got workers' comp. I've got a resale license, so I'm already licensed with the state of Wisconsin, and it would be nothing for me to just expand and operate that location.
He's gone through everything with city staff and like.
Deb's been in contact with him.
Deb,
for
you have
the
everything you need, correct?
Yep. So it's just.
So again, it's an item that we'll need a motion from the floor to approve the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I had a question.
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
So hours would be,
So,
that next-
so just kind of a couple points of clarification for Pam and Mike and Dan. So, you know, the bathhouse at Lakefront Park next to the beach, the city has historically leased that space out to a single entity, and they are able to run concessions out of that at their discretion. It was a percentage of sales. Last fall, we changed that to just a flat $50 a month lease fee. And then it's up to the business on the hours that they want to operate. You know, obviously just popcorn and beverages, and then they also have the rights to sell in the park itself, correct? According to the lease agreement. So if he wants to purchase a cart and take it, you know, during the Thursday night music festivals and go sell popcorn behind the band shell or up on the trail, he's able to do that as well. So he kind of has those exclusive rights through that lease agreement. So just so that you're aware, you know, but he has kind of that flexibility of when he wants to sell out of there. So
And he will be giving it up during booster days,
Yeah.
the use of them also using that building for their purposes and in setting up for that
Yep.
as part of it.
Yeah, that's part of, I understood that as part of the agreement. So, yeah.
So now,
And it depends a little bit on me properly getting employees and that sort of thing.
sure.
The environment right now, it's kind of hard to hire people. So, yeah.
Thank you.
any other questions?
Have we, with that concession stand, have we ever had a minimum amount of hours that you need to be open or days or anything like that? Is that,
We're lucky to have somebody,
okay,
truly. I mean, it really has been that.
okay.
I'll tell you my goal.
And
My goal is daily. Probably opening around 3 o'clock kind of thing, maybe 3, 4 o'clock, kind of hit the evening crowd when they're walking down there, that sort of thing. I live here. I live a couple blocks up that way. So, I mean, I don't see a lot of activity on weekdays, and then weekends probably expand that some. And, you know, the thing being is just being able to make enough money to be able to pay employees and, you know, that sort of thing.
in our vandalism and repair costs plummet when we have someone
Yeah, I bet.
in there. And it really makes a huge difference. So with further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put my old eyes on here. Next we've got our design proposal for the building in Grandview Park.
Yes, so in your packet, there should be a information on the Grandview Park design. Staff met with Elliott Architects here recently and kind of went over what we had talked about up at Grandview Park, what we would like to see in the building, restroom facilities, picnic shelter, a space that would be available for a warming shelter in the future. So based upon those conversations, Elliott Architect drafted this design, and we're presenting it here tonight for feedback. And based upon your feedback, you know, we would also accept a motion to advertise for bids on this unit. So as you can see, it's pretty, it's not, I know we were trying to keep in line with what's up at White Camp, but based upon the budget that we have, it just wasn't feasible. White Camp costs close to $300,000 to construct. Our budget for this unit is $250,000. So we had to pare down on some of the materials. You know, the roof design is a little more simple. And so, you know, keep in mind that it's not as extravagant, but yet it's certainly a well thought out building and still functional. I still think it looks really good. As you're driving into the park, you will see the rear of the building first with Grandview Park on the back, and then on that front side will be the picnic pavilion. The restrooms will be pointed to the north towards the playgrounds, and then the warming shelter storage area would be pointed towards the south. So if we do a future skating rink, people could go in there, look out the windows at their kids skating, so on and so forth. So, you know, other than that, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's great to just see a permanent restroom facility up at that park because it's long overdue.
What's the size of the building? Maybe so folks at home know too what we're talking.
What was the
Your
gross?
size on there? I believe it's, I think it's about 38 wide by 50 long.
Yeah, it looks like
50 by 28.
55, yeah, 30 plus the 25, 55.
55 long by 28 wide.
Yep.
Okay. So there's enough room in the pavilion portion of it for approximately 4 picnic tables. So about 32 people capacity. Serving counter, we'll do electric plug-ins. One point of topic discussion was the availability of a sink in that counter. I know at White Camp Park we have a sink, at Prospect Park we have a sink, and it's consistently being vandalized. In fact, we were talking with Kevin Soltis this morning. The White Camp Park sink was vandalized again here recently, and we're going to take it out temporarily and just go from there, because I think this is number 5 that we have had to put up there. So we did take that out of the design. I know that was kind of a discussion point the park board had in the past too, is whether or not we should offer a sink or not. But with the serving counter on the side of the building, we'll have a water spigot if people want to rinse out their dishes or something like that. But other than that, I mean, I'm open for any comments, suggestions. If there are none, then I would just take a motion to proceed with advertisement for bids.
So where's the warming house part of this?
So you see the storage facility there? So that would be, the intention there is the overhead garage door.
Okay.
We would be able to put up a false wall in between there, and then we'd be able to kind of wrap that entire storage area with benches.
Okay.
And there is a window there, I believe, on that.
Between the two doors?
Yep.
The past park boards, when doing the planning for the building for this type of building to go in the park, didn't look at it as a pavilion that we would be renting out to people like Prospect Park is used in that kind of thing, other than the overhead picnic area as a convenience to the people who are already out there using it, that, you know, there's a family gathering and the kids are playing on the equipment and everything else, well, you can have everything out of the sun and be out of it and have it used that way by the activities that are taking place, not a full rental type pavilion for other things. Well, the $250,000 budget in today's marketplace, this is what that buys.
And the bathrooms are really nice too. I mean, that's a great,
Yeah,
feature
we
for-
need good bathrooms up there, and
yep.
and the ability to, it'd be nice in the future to be able to enclose it in the wintertime and have a skating rink up there. We got the parking, it'd be perfect.
So are you thinking it would not be available for rent? Is that what you're saying, Pat? If somebody wanted a small party, could they rent that space at Grandview?
I don't know, we
already rent out the one next to the playground, so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see why we
we
couldn't.
wouldn't,
You know, we could.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't a big group one like we have at
Right.
White Camp, or a large
Right.
group that you have up at Prospect,
Right.
where you
I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, we will be running the natural gas line there. We will be insulating the building during construction, so that when we do want to keep it open for the winter for the skating rink, that the building is all prepped to do that. It's just a matter of saying when we want to do that.
Is the floor here, is that cement or what is the?
Yep, it's cement. Yep.
Okay, and that kind of surrounds, it looks like it goes out a little bit.
Yep, for ADA purposes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
That's good.
So would this be open year-round right away, or are they?
Right away, that's definitely open for discussion. It's, it would have the capability to,
Okay.
if we wanted to put a skating rink up there right away, or we could just, winterize it like we do every other
Okay.
facility that we have in the parks. But we would have that option to
Okay.
keep it open year-round.
Is there a motion to proceed?
Yeah, I would move to approve the plan.
A second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
And advertise for bids.
And advertising for bids, what Mike said.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. With staff recommendations.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would accept that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you very much on that one.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a really nice addition to have up there. Let's hope our bidding comes in where you want it.
Let's go to,
We can skip down on number 6 and go down to
number 7.
7. Discuss a location for a community tree.
Yep. So is here for that.
Is someone here for?
All right, I'll go ahead.
Okay, Michael.
All right, so a resident had reached out to me to possibly install a community tree in our parks, specifically along Lakefront Park, kind of on a seasonal basis during the winter time. As kind of a, you go into other communities, they have kind of a central community tree. It's well lit, looks really pretty, that type of thing. Kind of people go down and take pictures in front of it, so on and so forth. Currently, Hudson doesn't have anything like that. Previously, I believe there was one out in front of City Hall that used to be done years and years ago. Just basically looking for some feedback on, do we select a tree in Lakefront Park or the or the band shell. That's another good location just because we already have power there. We're having the new lighting system installed here in the next couple of weeks, so we can change the colors throughout the season. It's got a nice open area. People want to gather around and do a tree lighting ceremony, that type of thing. So I guess it's kind of more of a, not a formality, but just kind of a suggestion on where you would like to see that take place. Would you like to use, first, do you think it's a good idea? Do you like the idea of doing that in our park? Second, would you want to use an existing tree in our park or have a tree brought in and placed in the band shell, which is then decorated by, community members, community organizations, so on and so forth?
So is it a live, if we have something that's being put in place and then is it removed at some point?
No,
or
so
it would be,
it would be just a Christmas tree that you cut from the woods and brought in,
Okay.
kind of like our mini Rockefeller Center.
Okay.
So that's kind of what the intention would be, I think, as part of the holiday parade ceremony. You could add on the tree lighting after the parade. People could walk down there and they could flip the switch and that type of thing,
Sure.
kind of make it more of an ambiance type thing. But just looking for permission, to proceed with that idea.
The Chamber's done that in the past at the band shell,
Yep.
and it seemed to work out great. I don't
Yeah, I really don't have,
have ever a problem of any kind with it, and there's parking there, and
right.
like you said, there's electricity and lighting and everything else at hand.
It'd be interesting if there was an existing tree that we could use year after year after year. A little bit different twist than bringing one in a truck.
Yeah.
so there, I drove by the park on my way here today, and there are some large evergreen trees near the street. Would that be an option for one of them to be dedicated as a community tree, or is that maybe, do you have thoughts on the vision of the individual who
Well-
made the suggestion, or, so we're on
Have you
track with
Yeah.
what was being proposed?
Yeah, come on up. Do you have a particular tree in mind down there, or just kind of the idea?
Do you want me to state my name?
Yeah,
I'm
go
Kim
ahead, yes.
Benowitz, and I live in the town of Hudson. And I just brought it to Mike with the thought that, you see on TV all these town trees, and it gives a great sense of community, things like that, and just a gathering spot. It sets our city apart, appealing display, enticing visitors as a destination spot, as we are becoming in Hudson, benefiting our businesses. Promotes city, citizen spirit. I'll just kind of read my notes here. I don't know if you guys were, they were shared with them. Creates a buzz, attracts children, opportunities to build traditions and memories, symbolic, which it can grow simultaneously with our city and children. So that is the opportunity. Yes, if we did an existing tree, we could watch it grow. It could be something to measure your children by, and just each year get bigger and better. But also, as we all know, social media, it's all about photo opportunities. So the tree would be awesome in promoting Hudson, create fun with newspaper or local businesses to have a contest, an opportunity to build other holiday events around it. Just doesn't need to be Christmas, it can be any event. The park is such a focal point in the warmer weather, and then in the winter, it's forgotten. It's really a miss. It's really dark. There is nothing going on, and I think we really miss just having visitors and tourism come and look at what it could be. It just reinforces Hudson as a cute, picturesque destination town. Where's Devin Willie when I need him? That Hallmark setting. So that was kind of just my idea behind it. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, anything great, but just a starting point as a town tree. Be great for our businesses, great for our citizens, community. I mean, Stillwater, Afton, all the surrounding cities have one, so Hudson, I think, should too.
Good idea. I don't
Thank you.
think we're opposed to any such thing.
Okay.
It'd probably be the chamber would be the place to go with the idea as something that
I did go to
they
the
do.
chamber, and you know, months later, after I'd already gone to Mike, they said that there is a group, a community group, kind of looking to do some holiday displays there. And I think that's completely separate about what I'm talking about. I mean, it could come together, because that would be up and down displays maybe. This might be just a
Yeah.
permanent for all.
So what about, we're talking about a new pavilion at Grandview Park, and if we've got ice skating and we've got the dog park up there, what about having something like this at Grandview Park or one of our other parks rather than Lakefront Park, if we've got decorating?
We don't do that. As a park board, the city doesn't do that. So, and we don't have staff time to create an event and do that. That's why it's organizations in the community that put on and do. And in the parks, we say, yes, they can utilize a park to do that because it's for the benefit of the community. We all benefit from it and the like. But it's the organizations that put on the events or do the things. That's why I suggested the chamber as the place to go, or if they said there's already a group that wants to do interest in rolling them,
Who does?
or become a
oh,
group,
excuse me.
or become a group with a plan to do that. I don't think you would get opposition to allowing it to take place in the park. But what I'm trying to say is don't look for us to take the ball to pick it up and run with it, because it,
Oh, absolutely
Yeah, it
not,
wouldn't-
right, no.
Nope.
Yep, no, it would be, you know, Rotary or somebody like that, organizations that would help, and just fundraising behind it to get it going. So, and yeah, then it would be great to partner with the chamber as well and get them on board and, you know, get as many people and we can to help out and decorate.
because we don't have a recreation side to our department. It's not a park and rec, and that's an old history that goes way back.
Who
We just don't have the staffing.
puts up the Christmas decorations on the streets?
The city does that,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
with our budget. But I think it's a great idea,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
So is that not something we can add to have the city look at doing? Or no?
Whatever you want.
They're, how can I say it? They're not underemployed, they're not underemployed right now. Adding to their plate isn't necessarily making any headway towards what they're already trying to do
So I mean,
in a
that's-
cutback.
Yeah, that's one of the
environment.
things about, you know, choosing a tree that already exists, and I don't know the size of them, but, you know, in Richmond, we had probably 40-foot pine trees that we put lights on, 3 of them, on the corner of the library. Anyways, we had probably several staff members down there in 2 bucket trucks to hang these lights, for 2 days. You know, in the city here, we don't have that capacity. That's why, you know, maybe a 15 or 20-foot tree in the band shell would be maybe more easily, if we were to take over those responsibilities, I can justify having the guys go down there with a couple of 15-foot ladders and go and hang lights on a tree, or have an organization help out. So that's kind of the two sides of what I have experienced personally of doing this type of thing. I think it'd be great to get a organization involved and decorate the tree. It's just when you get to a size, you know, of a current tree that's standing 30, 40 feet tall, then you're talking heavy equipment and bucket trucks and coordinating that and expense and so on and so forth. So that's just something to consider. But I mean, I think it's great. I think we have a lot of time. I don't think it's going to be snowing anytime soon, so it's nothing that we have to decide tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe we bring it back as unfinished business at the next meeting. Maybe we identify a couple of trees in the park. I can bring some photos of that, kind of give some options, so on and so forth. So maybe we do that for tonight, but just.
And by that time, you
about
may
it.
have one of the community organizations that wants to get behind it,
Sure.
to take it over as well.
Because what I would hate to happen is you get this going, it looks great, and it goes for a couple years, and it's all grand, and you get the buzz, and you get everybody, and then it goes away because the community, you know, you can't get an organization or something. So that would be my fear if the city kind of doesn't get behind it too.
Yeah.
I think, like Mike was saying, you're not getting opposition from the city to it, but don't look to us to pick up the banner and run with it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Just one, I like the idea of a community tree, but just one caution, I think, is that I would like to see it where it's really inclusive. So it's not just used for like Christmas time. It could be maybe different groups, or maybe even different religious groups or different backgrounds would be able to decorate that tree at different times, so that it's truly an inclusive community tree and not exclusive for the Christmas holiday, if that makes sense. Because I think we just have to make sure we're inclusive however we do it. I don't have the answer, but I think that's important to think about.
Can you just address that real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, that's why it's you know, I don't really want to call it a Christmas tree or a holiday tree, a town tree.
Yeah.
So for weddings and senior pictures and something symbolic that we can watch grow with our town, and people can utilize it however they want. And like you said, maybe different organizations get behind it. And, you know, in the summer, somebody decorates it this way. In the fall, somebody decorates it that way. So, yeah, we really, you know, stay away from that holiday kind of
And maybe-
religious tree.
And I think that would be a great contribution to the community. So I love that vision. I think that's great.
Good enough. I guess-
Senior, next we have the Hudson Senior Project. Guys, you want to?
So a little bit of background, these
Yeah.
two gentlemen approached me as part of their Hudson Senior Citizenship Project. They developed a survey, correct? And went out to local community members and basically had them take the survey about the parks in the city of Hudson and what amenities were lacking, what we're doing well. And they're here tonight to kind of present the park board their findings. I did give them the park plan that we have currently on file, and so they can kind of get an idea of what we currently have in there. And I'm sure it was probably interesting to see kind of what they found compared to what we already have in there. But anyways, they're here to present, and take it away, gentlemen.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Joey Augustine, this is Mason Holm, and both of us are high school students in the town of Hudson. And part of our project, the Capstone Project, was to do a service project for the community, whether it was the Hudson community or community for like a certain project. And so what we wanted to do for ours was to help out with the parks, and Mason actually has some information about that, why this was something we wanted to pursue.
So me and my partner, and along with a group of friends, we met in the downtown park areas and we grew up together. So we have a very personal connection to our downtown park area, and we believe that it's very important to our community that other children also have the same opportunity that we had to grow up and utilize these parks. And we identified the problem that this current generation of kids are going outside 50% less than their parents' generation, and that comes with a whole host of health and social problems. One Harvard pediatrician, Claire McCarthy, pointed out that kids who spend less time outside are more prone to disease because their immune systems are less developed, and they develop far less social skills. And then we decided as part of that we needed to improve our attendance by children in our parks. So we identified the 2 reasons why children are getting out less currently, and we found that there are 2 sides of the coin, and that is that children are less interested in going outside as opposed to staying inside, and parents feel it's more inconvenient to go take their kids to the parks. So we decided to find a way that we can somehow address these issues.
Yeah, so one of the ways that we were able to do this was by doing some surveying of people in the Hudson area. And so like Mason said, there were 2 problems with this, and it came from what the kids want and what the adults want. And so part of the way we addressed this is we made surveys specifically for kids and surveys specifically for adults, so we could get some feedback from both groups. So like we wanted to hear from kids, see like what they would want specifically done for parks, something that would make them want to go more often. And then we also surveyed adults because, well, they're the ones that can hopefully help make this happen. And so through our researching, we were able to get results from about 80 Hudson adults. And from our findings, we had a good mix of people that we surveyed based on like whether or not they had kids. We had like 64% of them say that they have kids and the rest not. So because we wanted a good mix so that people weren't too biased about wanting stuff done with parks because they all have kids, or people not wanting stuff done with parks because they don't. So that was part of what we wanted to do, was just make sure we had like a good healthy mix between the 2. And some of the things we found is that some of the things that adults would want addressed with the parks is adding some more like facilities such as like bathrooms, drinking fountains to some of the parks in the downtown area. And when we were doing this, we asked them like what their favorite park was, which ones they like to go to the most, just to see like which ones specifically we could help out with. And some of the ones that we found that they liked the most were like they like Lakefronts and Prospect, Burton, just like some of the local ones downtown. Plus they like some of the ones that are further out, some of the newer ones such as Grandview and White Camp. And so part of the surveying found that like with some of these other parks that are like in the downtown area, that some of the things they wanted done, we found that like 62% of the people we surveyed wanted to have, like we said, the facilities done, just like added in so that they're so we had those there. And then another thing that we found out they wanted was they want more like trees planted, they want more grassy areas, they want more shade. So like one of the things that came from the surveys, we found that over half of them, like 59% of the people surveyed said that one of the things that they most wanted done with this project, if we were able to get anything done with the parks, is by doing this, adding some more trees, adding some shade, making the parks a little greener, adding some more like natural stuff to these parks. And so our final questions were about like if doing any of this stuff would help. And so of the people we asked, over 60% of them said that, okay, yeah, not a problem. So out of the adults that we asked, over 60% of them said that if there were improvements done to the parks, they would definitely go to the parks more often. And a very small majority of the people that didn't say yes did say no. We had a maybe option. And so most of the people who weren't like confirmed on saying yes were saying that there still was a chance that they would. And another one of the things that we had to address was like the money it would cost to do this. So if like funding that would go with this. So another question we asked with them is like if we did like fundraising, or if we had to like make this like something that got like added to taxes to get money for this project specifically. We found that only 17% of the adults that we talked to were opposed to doing like having some way of them giving money for something like this. Like if they had to like raise taxes, or if we had a fundraiser for this, only 17% were opposed, which I thought was pretty significant in like this being something that's possible. And my partner has some stuff to wrap up with like research we found specifically for this problem.
So not only did we find clear survey data that showed what people wanted in parks, which was the upgraded bathrooms and drinking fountains, and along with the more trees and shade. We also found experimental data from the United States Department of Agriculture that stated that the strongest positive correlation between park improvements and attendance were from increased trees and upgrades to those bathrooms and drinking fountain facilities. So we figured that our survey data and this experiment that they conducted did show that this could be very helpful to our community. And so that is what we would like to approach with a general idea that we would love to see that there's more trees placed in parks, more shade cover in parks, along with better bathrooms and drinking fountains.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of what they did for their project, and Pam?
Thank you. Do you have a copy, or is that something that you can share with the board so we think about those things as we go forward?
So like,
A copy of
You have a printed report?
Results?
yes, we
Yeah,
can
so-
share that
yeah, we
with
can share our
you.
survey results with you. We have those. And then
That'd be great.
Great.
We can send that to you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you did.
Thanks.
and thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for your time.
good luck.
Thanks.
That was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Project to be a loop.
Kind of confirms what we've been kind of striving for, you know, Grandview Park restroom upgrades, William Park restroom upgrades.
Burton.
Our urban forestry department consistently planting trees, so it's good confirmation that we're on the right track.
No, good one. Next item we had on the agenda is the election of our officers for this year. Pam, are you an officer now?
She's secretary.
You're secretary, right? In doing it. And I've been the chairman. So,
Are you
I'll move
looking for nominee?
Pat to be the chair.
I would second.
I'll keep doing it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Vice Chair, is open for nominations.
He just got here, Paul.
Pam,
Nothing like new
Take over
blood.
as vice chair, because you're here, your attendance is, you're here all the time, and you've got all the other stuff going on
You nominate.
as well. So I'd nominate
I would do that.
Pam.
I would second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Thank you.
And
Do we need a second?
do we need a secretary really with,
Yeah.
yeah, we do with the,
Yeah, I'm the acting secretary, so you just
What are the
nominate whoever you want.
what are the responsibilities for the secretary other than
It's,
title?
yeah, title. Sorry.
Oh, because Deb does all the, do you do the minutes? You do the minutes, right?
Yeah, I do it all, but I'm the acting secretary and I'm not.
So if she's gone,
Yeah.
you know, if
Oh.
she's on vacation, we need someone to take minutes,
Gotcha.
you know, which I won't let her leave during a park board meeting, so nobody's ever gonna have to take minutes anyway.
And you always have the videotape.
Are any of you all interested? Would you like that?
I'll nominate Paul.
I'll second.
All those in favor of Paul, say aye. No
Got good
good deed
handwriting,
goes
Paul,
unpunished,
right?
Paul. There you go.
4 years, I'll
I'm
take your
not,
place.
I'm not worried, yeah.
Mike, you want to give us a quick update before we have to get out of here?
Just a couple of things that we got. Oh, we gotta do the boat launch real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Yep.
So
Yeah, we moved it down instead of doing it.
quickly, because planning commission starts at 6. Boat launch fees. At the last meetings, we've been talking about the new parking system that's being installed here in the next couple of weeks. The system cannot recognize, it has to recognize either in-state and out-of-state. It can't recognize in-town, out-of-town. So we just want to update our fees and our season passes to reflect what the system is capable of doing. And that's what the gist of this agenda item is for. So it'd be the same prices, $8 for Wisconsin residents, $12 for out-of-state residents, Minnesota, and then $80 for a season pass, $120 for a out-of-state pass.
For background, we are hamstrung. We can't charge a market rate for our boat launch, even though it's a city boat launch. We are restricted to whatever the boat launching fees are at
The state level.
at state facilities. So these mirror that in doing it. So Chair would need a motion to approve these
So
going
I would
forward.
move to approve the boat launch operations and procedures.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, and then just a couple quick updates. Walnut Street Bridge, I don't know if you've noticed all the tents over the railing. So the sandblasting and painting crew moved in there last week. They're hoping to finish up by the end of this week. So the only thing left to do on that project would be to wait for the water to go down. And then we have some shotcrete repairs on the undercarriage of the bridge itself. So that'll be nice to get that project complete. I know it's kind of been 2 years in the making. And then the lighting at the band shell is scheduled to be installed next week, which will complete that project as well. So the band shell, the roof has been replaced, painted, the new cabinet has been installed, so now we're just waiting on the lighting. And the lighting's all here, it's just a matter of scheduling them. So those are kind of the two big updates that I have on projects.
It didn't look like any flood damage of any kind.
Nope, you know, we came out fortunate, so, yeah, knock on wood.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to our.